time for Team Rollerblade. They've got a plan for the criterium race. That's coming up next.
Welcome back. Here's Mike Adamle.
The men's criterium race has a strong international flavor. That's the team from Colombia warming up with a little jogging. Now, this is one race where it's nice to have a little help from your friends. Ippolito Sanfratello doesn't have that luxury. The talented Italian is essentially a one-man team, a lone wolf skating against a talented field. The men's criterium final, 20 minutes plus 2 laps. And one of the men to watch, last year's winner, Rollerblade's Derek Parra. He was a human dynamo, his victory in the criterium, just part of a remarkable weekend. But that was Ben.
I had a really good race last year, and I'm starting to find my inline racing leg. So I've been on a season of ice, and it's kind of difficult to get back in it. And our team got together this morning and talked about some things, so we have a good plan for today, and hopefully we'll come out to win.
And it is clear that Derek is not nearly as dynamic as he was a year ago when he won 2 events and finished second in 2 others. But I guess there's a reason.
There is a reason, Mike. Derek just came off ice training. He's been training all winter long with the Olympic ice coaches, and he's into the beginning of the inline season.
Maybe the criterium will be his breakthrough event. Right now, Tony Muse in the lead. Scott Hyatt from Team Hyper is second. Jorge Botero of Team Rollerblade is third.
And to the right of your screen, you can see Derek Parra stepping out and then stepping back into the line. Right now, Rollerblade is setting their skaters up throughout the pack to take control of the race.
Heather, based on what we saw in the 20-kilometer race, we expect the hyper-dynamic duo of Chad Hedrick and Derek Downey to be dominant. Right now, they're in the back of the pack. What are they thinking?
Well, you know, that's what they did before, Mike. They sat in the back. They had Scott Hyatt up in the front slowing the pack down. And if you look now, Scott Hyatt on the left is slowing the pack down. And to your right, Chad Hedrick off the front.
Hot on his tail, Jorge Botero. Skating for the Rollerblade Racing Team, a native Colombian, and the race results being fed back by a telephone to Programa Numero Uno on Medellin. That is Botero's hometown.
That's right. Jorge is skating for Rollerblade against his fellow Colombian teammates. Here, they're not the same team.
In third right now, Team Kryptonic's Jason Glass.
Chad Hedrick looking back, trying to see what's going on in the chase pack. He doesn't want to lead Jorge around for this entire race and just let him rest behind him. He's going to let up a little bit, I think, and wait for the pack.
Perhaps much like the 20K race when nobody was willing to press the issue, and he led for 10 laps in that 40-lap race. But we've got a break now. Back with more of the men's criterium after this. Here at Universal Studios, Florida, meet George Jetson. Hey, there's Fred Flintstone standing on bedrock, and the racers skating on asphalt in the men's criterium final. Nearly 8 minutes of this 20-minute 2-lap race have expired, and the leader, the little big man, Team Rollerblade, Derek Parra.
Immediately behind Derek Parra, we've got another Derek. That's Derek Downing from Team Hyper. And behind Derek Downing, Jonathan Webster, who was a Team Hyper skater last year. With these 3 up in the front, this could be a break that would get away if Jonathan Webster would work with Derek Downing. There's no chance of that, though. He and Derek Parra have Derek Downing in the green from Hyper sandwiched between them, and he's going nowhere.
But maybe that's exactly where Derek wants to be, because look at the chase pack. His teammate, Chad Hedrick, has got the rest of the field bottled up. But here they come.
And I'll tell you what, they are covered by Rollerblade 2. Jorge Botero is sitting right on Chad Hedrick. He's not getting away either. At this point, Rollerblade has got these guys covered.
And in 6th place in the bright yellow top, the great Italian sprinter, Ippolito Sanfratello. Skating alone, essentially. No teammates out here.
He's positioning himself very well, though. He's got both of the Hyper guys right in his line of sight. He's right behind the Rollerblade guys. No one's going to get away. As long as he's in the draft, he's using less energy than everyone else out there. All those other guys are going on brakes and chasing down brakes, and Ippolito is just sitting right behind them.
The pace has slowed considerably as we're waiting for our next set of brakes. Everybody looking back. Who's going to make the move?
Well, nobody wants to be the first to jump. No one wants everyone to jump behind them and get the draft. So it looks like they're just going to slow down for a little bit, taking that corner very wide. Everyone's standing up, hands on their knees. Hyper is positioning themselves perfectly again at the front of the pack. Expect something from them.
expect something from Team Rollerblade. That's Casey Boudier coming up the inside. He now has taken the lead from Derek Downing.
That was a classic Boudier move. Come from behind, blast past him, and get a gap, and that's exactly what he did.
Casey, another skater with 1998 Winter Olympic aspirations. A skater who feels as comfortable on ice as well as asphalt.
It looks like Casey didn't mean to make that one stick. He was just getting it set up for Keith Turner to come by.
If Casey did win this race, it would be something of a surprise, since lately a lot of his energies have been directed towards the ice, and he's not the only one.
At this stage of my career, I consider myself more of an ice skater than an inline skater. I don't think, inline skaters coming over to the ice is just a trend. I think people want to go to the Olympics, and I think at this day and age, inline skating is really not going to make the Olympics for a while.
I think you'll see more inliners switching over to the ice because they saw Casey skate the Olympics and then they realized that they can go to the Olympics.
My goals on the ice are to make the Olympic team, whether it be this year or in either 2002.
My dream is the Olympics, and I will do anything to get there. I'll sacrifice anything. If it means stopping inline racing for a year or 2 or maybe 4, I'll do it.
It's taken a lot of our elite skaters out from the inline skating and they're switching over to ice, and it's kind of hurting the inline racing. A lot of inline skaters want to stay inline skaters and only inline skaters, and others see ice as another option. They see it as a chance to go to the Olympics. I think that's one of the biggest things. So I'd like to stick with the sport of inline skating and help it reach Olympic status.
It's very difficult going from inline side.
Being a powerful inline skater doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a powerful ice skater.
It looks similar when you look at the 2 sports, but they're completely different. The push is completely different.
On the inlines, you sway with your body a lot, and you're being an ice skater, you got to be really, stiff and strong.
I went out and tried it in Calgary this year. I thought I could do it. It was just totally different. I couldn't use the technique that I used on inline skates on the ice.
Inline skating, the atmosphere is more friendly, like a family. If I'm having trouble sprinting, I can go up to someone and say, no, how do you sprint so fast? What do you do? And he'll tell me. Whereas ice skating is an Olympic sport, and if you give away secrets, you're giving up medals.
The ice skaters that are already there are, getting beaten by these inliners. At first, they didn't approve. But now they actually say, oh, you're an inliner? Oh, that's cool.
It's nice to see, the interaction of ice and inline skaters together.
Ice skating is very good for inlining, and inlining good for ice skating. There are some ice skaters that don't believe in doing inlines because they say it messes up their technique. Well, the inliners, they go over there that don't even really have good technique are still prevailing.
3.5 minutes and 2 laps to go, and a changing of the guard. Chad Hedrick of Team Hyper, Italy's Ippolito Sanfratello, and Rollerblades Jorge Botero 1, 2, and 3 will be back to wrap up the men's criterium when we return to Orlando.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Inline Challenge.
Less than 1 minute and 2 laps to go here in the men's criterium, and for most of the preceding 19 minutes, it has been a battle between Team Rollerblade and Team Hyper, but in the lead right now, the lone Italian, Ippolito Sanfratello, right behind him, Team Terminators, Chad Bergelauskas. And here comes the team from Kryptonics on the inside. That's Tony Muse and Chris Luxton.
Now, I don't know what these guys are thinking. They have one more time around before the 2-lap bell. They're going awfully early. Tony's a sprinter, and he's leading out Chris already. I don't think this is going to last.
Well, they're certainly making a bold bid to win this race and steal the thunder. Muse and Luxton from Des Moines, Iowa were 9th and 10th a year ago, but this year they want the whole enchilada.
They're coming around. They're approaching the line. This is the bell lap right here. They've got 2 laps to go now. It's a 20 minutes plus 2 laps, and these are the last 2 laps. Tony's still in the lead, leading Chris out. Chad Hedrick, sitting in third, is just resting behind these guys.
So what you're telling me is that Luxton and Muse are under the impression that this is the final lap.
That's how they're skating. They're going all out, and it's really early to be doing that. The rest of the pack is just relaxing. Nobody's even getting ready to jump around them.
Well, if that's the case, it's going to be a bonus for Chad Hedrick and Derek Downing of Team Hyper. In fact, it is. Hedrick has moved into the lead.
Now is the time that I would expect someone to jump on the front. We've got 1 lap remaining. Chad Hedrick now in the lead. Look at, he takes that corner. He's got such a great lead. Derek Parr is in that second position for Rollerblade, trying to chase him down. Derek Downing from Hyper in the green in the third position.
And what has happened to Luxton and Muse? The Kryptonics teammates who looked so strong have now disappeared.
It seemed awfully early for those guys to go, and now Hyper has taken over first and second, again coming around the S-curve. Third place is Rollerblade trying to chase them down.
Well, much like Team Ultimate's Julie Brandt and Cheryl Ezell in the women's races, Chad Hedrick and Derek Downing for Team Hyper have been dominant today. Now let's go back to the confusion at the end of this race.
That's Tony Muse that just pulled off to the left hand of the screen in the red. Chris Luxton in that second position in what seems to be the final sprint to him. But Hyper now moving to the lead. They've still got 1 lap to go.
Now what Chris and Tony are arguing, that course officials told them there were 2 laps to go when really there were 3.
That explains why they went so early.
Heather, if that's the case, it sounds like they have a legitimate beef.
Yes, they do, Mike. As you can see right here, they're looking and yelling to the side. They think they only have 1 lap to go, and they can't understand why the announcer is saying 2.
Well, controversy aside, Heather, it's apparent that Chad Hedrick and Derek Downing came here loaded for bear. Another 1-2 finish for Team Hyper. Kryptonics' Chris Luxton dropped all the way down to 6th.
We saw a lot of movement at the beginning of the race. You had some great big gaps between yourselves and the rest of the pack. What were you thinking?
We felt like we had an advantage. We had a team member, Rollerblade, and one of our team members, Derek, here off the front for a while, and we thought we had the advantage, so we thought we'd let it loose, and we pretty much knew that he would win the sprint at the end if it came down to it.
So you were trying to tire the other teams out? Was that the strategy?
Yeah, with me and Jonathan being off the front, I think it panicked Rollerblade a little bit, so they had to work actually to catch their own teammate, because I thought in the back of their head that they weren't going. Johnson wasn't going to be able to beat me in a field sprint, so they had to do extra work to try and catch me and Johnson to bring it back up.
Well, coming up, it's pure survival. Who will be the last woman out? The race is called the Last Skater Out, an elimination event with the slowest fall by the wayside, not conducted all that often, but the racers all seem to like it. A look at some of the key competitors, and again, the dominant theme today has been Team Ultimate, Cheryl Ezell and Julie Brandt. Rollerblades' Jen Rodriguez is the defending champion, and this will be extremely tough for the judges because the field is so large.
Mike, these judges are used to watching for the front wheel of the lead skate to cross the finish line, and that's to determine placement. In this race, it's different. It's the back wheel, the last wheel of the back skate that determines who gets pulled off the course as the last woman out.
Well, the racers get what is in essence a warm-up lap before they are given the green light. It is on lap 2 that the elimination process actually begins. So what's happening right now then, Heather?
Right now the girls are jockeying for position, trying to determine where they're going to position themselves in order to come across the line without being that last person out. Some racers prefer to skate towards the front of the pack. You don't have to race each time for trying to pick people off. Other racers like to sit in the back of the pack and pick people off one by one. It's a little more energy consuming, but some racers like to do that.
Well, they're heading for the start line. The official lap about to begin. And last woman out is underway.
Right now we've got Michelle Levon from Miller Boots taking the early lead. Michelle obviously wanting to skate from the front of the pack. We haven't seen Michelle in the front of any of the other races, but she wants to stay up in the lead this time. She does not want to get out early.
We have seen what kind of teammates Julie Brandt and Cheryl Ezell have been in the previous races. What about in this race?
This is not a race where those girls can just sit in the back and wait for the end for a sprint. They're going to be staying near the front of the race, but they are staying together. As you can see right now in the third and fourth positions, the black and white, that's Cheryl and Julie sticking together. They are teammates to the end.
But they are severely outnumbered here. On the bubble right now, number 32, Tara Peterson, in the two-tone yellow and purple, and she has the dubious distinction of being the first woman out in the last woman out event.
This Ultimate Inline Challenge tip is presented by Rollerblade.
I my name is Derek Carr with the Rollerblade Racing Team. I'm here to talk to you about some inline skating tactics. The first is drafting. Like cycling, drafting plays a big part for us races to recuperate the pack and get ready for the final sprint. And the second point is positioning. Most skaters skate upright without bending their knees, where inline racers like to get down in a low aerodynamic position for maximum speed and power. The third thing I want to talk to you about is finishing your stroke. When finishing, make sure you switch off all your wheels and direct it to the side. I guarantee you'll get the most power from each stroke. So slap on some protective gear in front of the helmet, and you'll have some fun.
Right you are, Derek Carr, and fun happens to be the operative word here at Universal Studios Florida, whether it's on skates or riding shotgun with some wacko speedboat stunt guy. That looks like a lot of fun. In the last rim and out race that's underway, one of the big names fell by the wayside early. Desley Hill, she looks like that wacko speed guy. She's trying to get the inside lane there, actually pushes off a fellow competitor and was disqualified. In lap 20, young 14-year-old Michelle Bizot and feisty Australian Deb Beveridge fought hard to be eliminated. Beveridge's mistake, and she is at the back of the pack. She looks left and never sees Bizot, who stays alive. Beveridge was eliminated and couldn't believe it. Bizot was to go on the very next lap. So now only 5 remain, the conclusion in a moment.
Ultimate Inline Challenge is presented by Rollerblade, fighting for freedom, justice, and a really dialed ride. Stay tuned. And in part by Duncan Yo-Yo. If it isn't a Duncan, it isn't a yo-yo.
The few, the proud, the fit. Skating to the sidelines, Michelle Bizot, the last woman out after a gallant effort. And now 5 remain. Julie Brandt, Teresa Cliff, Cheryl Izell, Vicki King, and Jennifer Rodriguez. Right now, Izell and Brandt 1-2, like they've been all day long.
They've been skating great this year. Cheryl actually won this race last year. There was a controversy. The race was rerun, and she finished not even in the top 10. So this is great that she's up there in the front this year, skating so dominant, pulling to the front right now.
But forget about the engine. Who's the caboose? And it appears to be Jennifer Rodriguez. She crosses the finish line last. She is eliminated. Now 4 skaters left.
Jennifer Rodriguez was last year's winner. She's skating around to the outside, being pulled off the track. Once again, Ultimate, first and second, skating in the lead. Cheryl Izell chewing on her helmet strap. She does that quite often in races.
There's the former defending champ, Jen Rodriguez, skating towards the sidelines. Here comes Teresa Cliff from Rollerblade, trying to get by Vicki King. She has so far. Can't she hang on here?
Teresa just made a smart move. She jumped right in front of those girls on the corner, but it looks like Cheryl's not going to let her in front.
Teresa making a big mistake, looking left, did not see Vicki King to her right, and now she bites the dust.
This last group of 4, now down to 3. All of these girls have been on the U.S. team before. They've skated against each other. They've skated with each other. They know what's going on. Teresa Cliff, once again, had just come off knee surgery, has been going through therapy. Couldn't make it for the final sprint. It's a sprint for these girls coming around this time.
So only Vicki King stands in the way of another 1-2 finish for Team Ultimate. Here they come. Julie Brandt, Cheryl Izell. Can Vicki King break their stranglehold on first and second?
Vicki's waiting an awful long time to try to get around these girls on these corners. These girls just skate wide. It looks like they're taking up the entire track. Vicki's going to have to go 3 times as far as anyone else if she wants to go around them, and it looks like she can't do it.
She finally succumbs to the pressure that Brandt and Izell have put on their fellow skaters all day long. Another 1-2 finish for Team Ultimate.
Vicki did great. She's there in the 3rd place, red, white, and blue, just coming off the ice, and she still finished 3rd. Cheryl and Julie, the best of friends now. I was talking to Cheryl's mom the other night. She said they were a little worried how they would get along. They were each other's greatest competition, but now they travel together. They converse during races. They have a great time.
But now the important question, are they magnanimous enough to allow the other one to win? I mean, who wins this thing? Do they flip a coin?
Well, I'll tell you, Julie won the sprint early on. I wouldn't be surprised if Cheryl went for the win here, and it's not hard to hand a win over to somebody that you respect and admire. And these girls have a mutual admiration and respect for each other.
This is essentially the equivalent of a victory lap. Cheryl Izell gets the victory. Julie Brandt second. No gray area today. Their performances as black and white as their ultimate uniforms. Julie, Cheryl, you rule.
Me and Julie wanted to make it down to the last two skaters, and we made it to that. So the last two laps, we kind of just coasted around, and she led me out, and I won the race because that was the plan for me to win the race. So it worked out really well.
A pair of 18-year-olds, Julie Brandt and Cheryl Ezell, put their stamp of excellence on the Ultimate Inline Challenge. But their arms weren't the only ones raised in victory. On the men's side, Hyper's Chad Hedrick and Derek Downing were just as dominant, just as good, just as exciting to watch. For Heather Lacayo, I'm Mike Adamley. So long from Universal Studios, Florida.